Hello, fifth grade. We have an awesome new project to discuss and get started with today. So for our next project, we are going to be making a comic strip. So I put an example of a Peanuts comic strip in here because my dad really loved them, so I grew up loving them as well. So I think it's worth it to take a look at this. So in the first panel, Sally says, I wrote this letter for my teacher, but now that it's summer, I don't know how to get it to her. In the second panel, Charlie Brown says, why don't you send it to her at home? And in the last panel, Sally says, teachers have homes. So the reason why I included that, first of all, it has 3 panels, which is what we're going to do. The story has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it does have some humor in here because Sally does not know that teachers don't live at the school building. I'm sure we've all had that thought at some point in our lives. So let's take a look at our project. So you'll create a drawing of your own comic strip in 3 panels. Again, just like the example up here, you will create your own characters and story. So guys, that's really important. We are not using characters that already exist. Like, even though I love the Peanuts, I'm not going to use these characters. I'm going to come up with my own. This project will be created with black marker and colored pencils. Have fun and be creative. All right, so the black marker is a skinny black marker, like a skinny Sharpie or any black pen that you have at home perhaps. It just helps us see the details a little bit more. And then colored pencils will allow us to color this neatly and with detail. So the things you'll be graded on for this project, your drawing and coloring, we want to make sure that is done neatly. The overall story design, you want to make sure that you're able to tell an effective story in 3 panels, and of course have the story make sense is always important. And then lastly, creativity and effort. And this is definitely a great project to be incredibly creative with. So what I have on Google Classroom for you is a worksheet. It is 2 pages. You're looking at the first one, and then we'll talk about the second one in just a second. So this is to help get you started thinking about what characters you want to include in your comic strip. So most famous cartoon characters that we think of are actually just made of some very important basic shapes. So it asks right here, what are some important basic shapes? So here are some examples. If you're kind of stumped on what you want your character to look like, build with these. As it says on the bottom half of the page, a lot of famous characters are made up of 2 basic shapes, one for the head and one for the body. So what I want you to do is use the examples here below in order to build a character. So I want you to do it for each one of these. I'll do an example with you. So I'm looking at this one, and I kind of see that this could be a dog if I expand the shape here a little bit and add some ears. Okay. And then of course add in like the arms and everything. So you know what, these are quick. These are sketches. They do not have to be perfect. This is just to help get you thinking, get you brainstorming. So in each of these 3 right here, go ahead and use the existing shapes. You can draw over them just like I did in order to try and come up with a unique character. All right, feel free to add color to those if you want to. It's not a requirement, but sometimes it can kind of add a little bit more to the character. So once you've created 3 different characters here, you'll want to go to the second page. And this is where you want to think about who is in your comic. So now you're specifically thinking about the comic that you're going to make for this project. So below, draw ideas for 2 or 3 different characters. Now guys, I know you might have a ton of different ideas. You might have 5 different characters. This is only a 3-panel comic, so we don't want too many characters. You probably just want 2 or 3 characters interacting with each other. So go ahead and draw your characters that you want to do right here. I also think this is a great opportunity to add color, since this will be a project in color. Start thinking about what they're going to look like. Okay, so after you have your characters decided, on the bottom of this page, you want to think about what is the story going to be. So what is going on in your comic? Below, decide on some ideas for the plot of your comic. What is happening? What kind of story can you tell in 3 different frames? So again, kind of beginning, middle, end. Include your characters and their dialogue. So what I want you to do here are small sketches of your characters interacting with each other, and you can just do that with our little bubbles. It's pretty common practice that the one on the top is the one speaking first, and that the one on the bottom would be the one speaking second, so make sure you consider that. And then you can just do some small sketches in order to plan out your beginning, middle, and end of your comic. I understand that these 2 pages are going to take some time this week, so this is what I want you to work on. Take your time, make sure you do the work neatly, and then take pictures of both finished pages and submit them to Google Classroom. I can't wait to see what characters you come up with.